Good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Loki Season Two's recap of two nerds who have missed out on their glorious purpose. I am joined, of course, by Mage Rage, and what we're doing is me and Mage. We didn't get really to talk too much about Loki Season 2, and the boys did because we wanted the content to come out pretty quickly. But we watched it and we wanted to talk about it. So what we're doing here is we are going to just do a quick, just topic discussion, talking about Loki Season 2 and our thoughts. So Mage, why don't you go ahead and start?
Loki Season 2 is just an incredible piece of television. It does time travel stories in a way that most writers can't do. It makes sense. They wrap things up. Most time travel stories, you end up like their logic doesn't quite jive, and there's always some sort of slight plot hole. But this time travel story writing was as good as, I would say, as Stephen Moffat on Doctor Who. Ginger Greek's gonna flame me for saying that Moffat's good, but I'll stand by it.
You like what you like.
This is true. You get it. That's why I mess with you, Cheeto.
I mean, I have no idea. I don't watch Doctor Who, so
No, good acting overall. Just great pacing and build up. OB is awesome. So I made a joke with Ryan. I'm like, wait, can like we find a loophole and make him like a Disney prince somehow? Like,
okay. So, are you ready for my controversial take?
please hit me.
All right. I don't think Season 2 was as incredible as people say it is. Now, was it bad? Not by a long shot. Is it some of the Marvel's best streaming, television? Yes. Do I think it's as good as, to me, is it as good as The Falcon and the Winter Soldier? And even, I don't know. I mean, I think it's better than Loki Season 1, but I was not a huge fan of Loki Season 1. I don't even think it's as good as this Falcon and the Winter Soldier, truth be told. Was it good storytelling? Yes. Was it well written? Yes. Did we love Tom Hiddleston as Loki and Sylvie and OB? I think is a little overpraised. OB is lovable, but at the same time, kind of that wore off after the first episode for me. The whole like lovable goofball, not goofball, but you know what I mean, like that lovable dummy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed episodes 1 through 4. Episode 5 derailed it for me. I kind of wish they would have kept the same pace that they had been going at, because it was go 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 go, and then all of a sudden that the thing hit and it stopped for me. That next episode 5, again, not a bad episode, but it really just kind of put a screeching halt on everything. And I know that they were trying to slow it down to kind of build character, and that didn't really work for me. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought, because I thought I wanted that too. I thought I wanted the character, like the characters on the timelines or whatever, like see their lives. And really, I didn't care at the end of the day. I didn't care about Owen Wilson's, real life on the timeline. I didn't care about what was her name? B-15? I don't remember her name.
I thought it was Hunter X-15.
Maybe, I don't know. The black lady. What is she?
Yeah.
Hunter B-15 or X? Is it B-15? I feel like it's B-15. Maybe it's X-15. Okay. Anyway,
no, you're probably right.
I didn't care about that. Like, the acting, phenomenal. The plot, good. And I even feel like the season finale underdelivered for me. And the reason why I say that is because it all kind of wound up the way we thought it would. And I wasn't looking to be shocked or surprised or anything like that, but I really felt the season finale was like, okay, we're just going to OP Loki, and now he's going to be the Beyonder, or He Who Remains now. I see him more as maybe the Beyonder, per se. Like, I think he's going to come into play later. And I might do a theory video later. Maybe I'll have you or someone else join me about my Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars theory on what's going to happen with Loki. But that's for a later date. Subscribe for more. Anyway, yeah. I don't know. Like, it. I'm glad Sylvie didn't take a backseat, but was not a focus of this season. I do like that she was there, but I didn't particularly care that much, that she was there as much. And I'm glad that whole like weird like himcest. I mean, what can we, not even himcest, like what can we call it? Like yourself cest, like he's like trying to make out with himself.
I just called it a narcissistic love affair.
Narcissist. There we go. Narcissist.
Yes,
it's like incest and narcissism like rolled into one. I wasn't a fan of that in season 1. I'm glad they didn't do that or expand upon that in this season. I know that Loki still had like the feels for her. You could tell in his acting, like, but I still was like, okay.
Well, I mean, he could have, if he didn't still love her, he could have ended it the very first time he went back. He could have just killed her.
Yeah.
He lived centuries and did everything that he did for love of her.
Yeah.
So it was there still. Everything they had done season 1 was still there, but they didn't have to like drive it home. That was the great thing about this show for me, is it didn't feel the need to like really jam anything down your throat, and things that didn't need to be drug out were not drug out. Case in point, Timely and Renslayer are talking, and she says something. She uses the word partners. All they have to do is Timely gives the look, and Miss Minutes has the look, and so you, the audience, know that Renslayer is going to get betrayed somehow. They didn't waste our time. The very next shot is them chucking her off in the rowboat. It's beautiful. They respected our time so much, and I can see your argument, like kind of your problem with the way the pacing changed at episode 5. I can definitely see that gripe. I feel like if they had kept the pace they had, though, they couldn't have tied, the writing wouldn't have been as tight, like logically how they were explaining the time travel shenanigans. They kind of needed that to slow it down, to throw the techno jargon in a little bit.
Well, and the one way I would have fixed episode 5 is I would have had Loki jumping from timeline to timeline branch. Like each different timeline like is flaking away. So he's still like at that pace of, oh my God, like Oblivion is right behind me. So like I don't have time, because that's what the whole first half of the season was, is boom, boom, boom. We got to do this. We got to do this. We got to do this. And I know you want to take a breath, but it's 6 episodes. Like if this was like a 10 episode season and you did this on like episode 6, okay. Like I could see that, but it's like, like this season, and you're right, this season did respect our time. I have no gripes about that. And I agree with you 100%. It did respect our time. I just felt like the urgency was not there anymore until like the end of episode 5 going into episode 6. And that's kind of where, as I said, that whole, and maybe it's even only just the first half to 3/4 of episode 5. Episode,
that's so, like you said, it's only 6 episodes, so that much of it, in relatively speaking, it is a large chunk of the story to have the pace slowed down to that degree. So that, I mean, everything's relative.
Yeah, I really feel like it should have been Loki jumping from branch to branch, and everything was like pretty much, destroying, like flaking away behind him. Like they don't have time. And honestly, it would have been nice to see him fail once or twice. Like he goes to a branch and he tries to recruit Mobius, and like the first time he goes, like he fails. Like, and like they did that in episode 6, but I think they could have done it better in episode 5, where it's like he's trying to get Mobius back, but it's like he's having to basically reteach or reconvince Mobius that he's, Owen, or what was his name, Dave, or I don't remember on the main timeline. Was his name Dave? I don't remember.
And Don or Dave?
Don, maybe Don, because I think people were saying he might be Donald Blake, and I'm like, yeah, let's Mephisto the crap out of this one, because Owen Wilson can land Natalie Portman. Okay. Sorry, not trying to be mean, but yeah, I don't know. Right in that section there kind of got to me, and that's my big beef with the season. I think if they wouldn't have slowed it down like that, I think if they would have gone with a more, where the eradication of the universe is on his heels. I think that would have helped the pacing a bit. And even if they slowed it down a little bit, that's fine. But man, they grinded it to a halt in episode 5. Um, yeah, I don't. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about the season in general? I mean, that's really my only gripe. As I said, it was a fantastic season and definitely one of Marvel's best, like in the scheme of things. But I want to talk about the finale a little bit more once we're done talking about the season in general.
We can move on to discussing the finale. That sounds good.
Um, I know I've been talking way too much, but
No, go
I'll
for it.
start with the season. I kind of touched on this a little bit, but I feel like the end of the season, they were trying very hard to make like, look, this is Loki's show. Look, he comes out on top in the end. I really feel like that. I don't know what the end game is, but I feel like the end game of Loki is not in is not the MCU's timeline. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like what they did with Loki was just because this is his show, and I get it. It's his show. You're right. But in the broader scope of the MCU, if you're sitting there trying to get Kang involved, what is the point of making Loki the god of stories, the god of the timeline, whatever you want to call him? Why make the sacred timeline into Yggdrasil at this point? Why is my question. Like, I know I'm probably just being a nerd. I'm being like, I want answers now, but it's like they're already saying there may not be a Loki season 3. And I'm sure he'll probably show up again in either King Dynasty or Secret Wars. But I really feel like we needed somewhat of an answer, at least hinted at in a post-credit scene or something, as to what the point was of all of this. Because if they say season 1 and 2 was one big arc, what was the point? Because Kang was not the point. At the end of season 1, Kang was the point. At the end of season 2, Kang is not the point. Basically, Kang is he who remains is gone, essentially, besides Victor Timely, which I guess he's still around, but technically that's not even he who remains. Because remember, he already said, like,
But
Kang himself, or he who remains
they're
already said that
but
that's a
they are
variant of
coming.
him. It's not him.
But right, but the TVA has leads on them, but there are variants of him out there that they're probably coming, like the original HHR said, HWR.
Yeah, I think that the Kang stuff is just it's all over the place, and I feel like they're afraid to commit to the Kang stuff because of Jonathan Major's drama, and that's
Agreed.
I think at this point it's like they're leaving that, like, this whole Loki thing feels like we're leaving this open just in case if we cannot do Kang. You know what I mean? Like, but Loki doesn't need to be a villain. Loki's a good guy now. Like, at worst, he's an anti-hero. Like, he's willing to kill people, but he's working towards the good of the universe and the multiverse. So he's a good guy.
I say he's full-fledged good guy now, for
Yeah, pretty
sure.
much. I mean, you're right. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the finale?
I liked it. I wasn't able to. I'm not as knowledgeable on comics or really at all beyond origin stories, so I don't know kind of what I could be possibly expecting or anything as far as the Kang storyline goes. So I've just kind of taking it as a sit and enjoy it as TV kind of thing, and I really felt like uh just it did such a really great job just once again of saying things without saying it but still being crystal clear. Uh, just ways they continued the conversation just kept the between Loki and He Who Remains just kept adding on layers. Okay, so he's going back in this phrase of the conversation now. How many times are they looping this part? It just as it goes on, you keep seeing there's layers of this temporal chess that they're playing.
And that was one of the more enjoyable parts for me as well, is kind of that temporal chess like you're talking about. That's a great way to say it, is that temporal chess. That was great. I loved it. I love the season finale of season 1. I thought it was fantastic. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, it was kind of boring." Some people. Hindsight, I think people came around. But like I think in the moment people were like, "Oh, it was really boring." And I'm
To
like,
me, it
"No.
was the best episode of season 1.
It was yeah, I'm trying to think. It's been a while.
But
I would agree with you. I think
I'm kind of a simp for this show though. Like I stan it because I love the aesthetic of the TVA. I'm a sucker for that late '60s, early '70s vibe of tech and like it look, the monitors and rotary phones. I don't know, the synth
no, and
music.
there's nothing wrong with that. I know I'm in the minority here, and as I said, I don't even dislike it. I don't even not like it.
No, it's
I
there's don't feel the need to defend yourself for seeing flaws in something and wanting to voice them. There are absolutely things to gripe about. I'm not as good at identifying them until I bounce my ideas off of people like I do with you guys. And so I get all hyped up on things.
well, and I've also had more time to sit because you said you just finished it recently. I have had a little more time to sit on it too. I
Yeah,
finished it on Thursday night. So, I've had a bit more time to sit on it, which is fine. As I said, sometimes that hindsight's good, and but
I
you know
think
what? If, as I said, I'm not telling anyone they shouldn't like it. I'm not. I don't know. I felt, and like here's my thing, is that they use the whole season, and I meant to bring this up earlier. They use the whole season to set up the origination of the TVA, correct? Like like they were talking about, OB was idol worshiping Victor Timely. Type Victor Timely was worshiping OB. They went to set up the whole TVA thing, but they didn't actually pay it off. If you think about it, like they
no,
never paid off that loop or anything like that. Not that they necessarily had to, but like again, what
I
was the
think
point of doing that?
maybe to open up maybe a third season of a you couldn't maybe call it Loki anymore, but because I've heard rumblings that Hiddleston said his MCU career is over.
No, I think he's
And
going to be. I think he's going to be in. I think he's going to have some, maybe like Loki season, like Loki seasons are done. I think he'll still turn up in either King Dynasty or Secret Wars. I'm banking on Secret Wars. I mean, they're going to offer that Disney money to him, and he's going to show up.
a paycheck is a powerful motivator.
Hmm.
You can't eat on your artistic integrity.
Yeah, but then again, we look at Ric Flair. I mean, he supposedly had multiple retirement matches, and I mean, he still gets back in the ring. So, when people say they're retiring, I mean, maybe they're retiring out of active service. Like, we're not going to see any more Loki season. He's not going to be in every Thor movie, even though he wasn't even in Thor 4, right? Yeah, he wasn't even in Thor 4. So, I don't think we're done with Loki for sure. So, I don't know. I don't. As I said, I hate to gripe on this show. I really do, because it was really good, but there's just those one or two things that just
It,
really bugs my bottom.
when it's yeah, if it sticks in your craw, it sticks in your craw.
Yeah, six in my car. That's a good one. Not bugs on the bottom. I don't know
Uh,
anything else you want to kind of talk about this, like any season finale. I mean, or well, maybe series finale at this point. We don't know.
I just want to give a shout out to Eugene Cordero. I think he's great as Casey. I think that he showed a lot of range in episode 5, playing the escapee from Alcatraz.
And he is a Rutherford.
I was just about to ask. I was using that as a segue to see if you recognized the voice. It is
Oh
our
yeah,
boy Rutherford, and Casey and Rutherford are basically the same character. So
pretty much. Yeah, I mean,
I love
engineers
it.
and nerdy engineers. Yeah, so
I mean, when he met OB, it felt like Rutherford meeting just some
Geordie
Starfleet
LaForge
hero.
or
Like,
Scotty or
yeah, meeting a Starfleet hero.
yeah. No, I
I mean,
mean, actually,
he might freak out over Balana.
Maybe. Yeah, Zam already tried to catch me on that one. He said, "How do you feel about Rutherford?" I said, "I loved him." He's like, "Oh, you knew that already?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, you listened to him for like 5 seconds, and you know that that's Rutherford. So yeah, I mean, yeah, for me, it's like seasons 1 through 4 were perfect, and like honestly, even the cut to black at the end of episode 4 was like perfect. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Like 9s and 10s across the board at that point. And then episode 5, it just like for me it would have been like a 6 or a 7. You know what I meant? Like that's just how much it killed it for me. And then like the season finale would have been like a 9 for me. You know, like that's what I'm saying. Like the overall like 9s and 10s across the board, but it's just like that one episode, man. That one episode would have been a 6 or a 7 for me. And I'm like, you had it in your hands. So I don't know what I mean. We might as well do really quick rankings. Like, what would you give it? Like, you know, overall, or if you want to break down like a batch of episodes, who cares? I mean,
The first 2 episodes, Act 1, I'll give an 8. The second act, episodes 3 and 4, those are just 9 for sure. But 9 on Act 3 as well. The pacing doesn't bother me as much on episode 5, but I can see your point. I definitely see your point.
that's okay. Let everybody bring your pitchforks and your torches and put it all down in the comments.
Tell him how wrong he is.
Tell me how wrong I am. I love it. Give it to me.
He
Give it to me.
He feeds on your negativity, folks. He feeds on it.
Hey.
It sustains him.
Right. Just really quick commenting on the future. I've already kind of said I think he's going to show up in Secret Wars. What do you think's next for Loki? Do you think we'll get a season 3, or do you think this is kind of it for Loki?
I don't see how you could do as it's written, I don't see how you could do a season 3. I could see them doing like a TVA spin-off show, though.
Well, apparently TVA is supposed to show up in Deadpool 3, I think. And obviously, I think somewhat in one of the Avengers movies. So we'll see. You know what I just realized, you know what they did to Loki? Do you watch the Arrowverse, like the Arrow shows? Or have you ever? Or
I watched most of it. I got bogged down at some point. It was
there's so much.
many
I know.
You had to be current so you could watch each crossover every year, and it just by the time there were as many shows as there were, it was just way too much. I couldn't keep up with them all.
Yeah.
And I fell off.
Well, the people in the comments will know what I mean when I say that they Oliver Queened Loki by the Crisis episodes. So, no,
he was a Gary Sue for sure by the end of episode 6.
No. What they did to Oliver Queen and did you know what happened to him or no? I'm not going to spoil it for you if you ever go back and watch it.
No. So,
okay.
Yeah, no.
So just they Oliver Queened him. So that's all I'm going to say. You have no idea. If you ever go back and watch it, it won't be spoilery for you. But they Oliver Queened Loki. People in the comments will probably chastise me for comparing it to the Arrowverse, but I don't care. Whatever. We are equal opportunity offenders here. But anyway, Mage, anything else you want to add before we jump out of here?
No, I just want to thank you for having me on. It's been a fun chat. I don't bring as much kind of expertise or comic background because of the tragic history of my collection and its destruction, but it's always fun to talk with you about stuff, and I enjoyed watching the season of Loki, even if I was late to the party.
Gotcha. All right. Well, everybody out there in YouTube land, please leave a comment down below, leave a like, and consider subscribing to NerdTube, the greatest YouTube channel you've kind of maybe sort of heard of. Fuck Martin Scorsese, and goodbye.